We are less than a month away from Monster Hunter Wilds. I have that weekend off. We are ready to go for a 40 weekend of just Monster Hunter content. I'm very excited. This is the final preview from IGN.
On day 3 of my visit to Capcom in Osaka, Japan, I once again sat in a dimly lit conference room. I was playing Monster Hunter Wilds, empty cans of coffee and tea strewn around my station. "You must be tired of being stuck in here playing," said a friendly employee.
No.
And all I could think was,
Never.
I wish I could play more. This is after I played the first 5 hours of Monster Hunter Wilds' story and hunted 4 monsters in the Oil Well Basin in a different play state.
Oil Basin. I need to go there during the
There
demo.
are so
What I wonder about is that with the announcement of the spider, the fire monkey we just watched, there's also like a fire octopus. I wonder if that's going to be in the demo that's happening next weekend, the 7th through the 9th. And we'll get 14th through the 16th. We'll get 2 weekends of Monster Hunter content before we have like a week off, and then Monster Hunter Wilds arrives.
So many nuances to master with a new weapon and gameplay features, and I'm the type of person who wants to figure out exactly how everything works through repetition and experimentation.
I will say that I think I'm going to stick, like, just like in the previous games, I am going to stick to 2 weapons. I think Greatsword because of the way because the focus mode allows me to be a better, like, DPS. I've always wanted to play Greatsword. DPS was a huge problem, but Greatsword and, the Switch Axe and the Hammer were my solutions for that. This time, let's see how Greatsword goes.
I am a guides writer. It comes with the territory. But because an experimentation. I am a guides writer. It comes with the territory. But because of my limited time, I needed to focus on the main story. That's fine. After this hands-on, I know I'll enthusiastically spend hundreds more hours in the game once it's out.
Those guys are pretty cute. I like those little small goobers.
I beelined it through the story to make sure I could see everything I could, and in doing so, I crafted and upgraded only what I could as I went.
Alrighty.
That's the basic loop of
Hi,
monster
Gemma.
hunt monster, make better equipment, hunt stronger monster, and sometimes hunt something multiple times to get what you need. With my minimal preparation, I hunted the first 7 monsters: Chetacabra, Kamatrice, Congalala,
Kamatrice, Congalala,
Lalamarina, Balahara, Dashaguma, and finally a repel quest for the Leviathan, Wtphu, without much trouble and never once carded.
What you can actually do is that people have done it in the first closed beta testing, open beta testing, that you can fight Raidal. But Raidal is more of a side mission. I do agree. They said that they went through the main campaign missions, but you can easily run into Raidal in the wilds. That much you can actually do. Super fun.
When I played Monster Hunter World for the very first time, even Tobi-Kadachi gave me trouble, so I was surprised to encounter such little friction while playing Wilds. I was actually so surprised that I went back and replayed the story in Monster Hunter World through Anjanath, the 7th large monster. Well, the answer is, I've just gotten a whole lot better since I first played World, even though by that point I had been playing Monster Hunter since the very first one on PlayStation 2. I easily ripped through everything in World up to Anjanath, who then made me sweat a bit before I defeated it on my first try. It's funny because I felt the same as when I played Monster Hunter Rise. I thought to myself, this feels so much easier, and in some ways this could be because of the fun.
Magnamalo is terrible. I only say that he's been fun to hunt because I want to make his armor set before I continue Rise. The biggest problem is the idea that his blast, and I will say some of the mechanics of Rise is not catching quite yet, because I've just went through the first. I fought Magnamola for the first time. Had that weird cutscene in the middle of the game, and then I'm currently making his armor set and seeing how far that takes me before I need a new armor. But I'm always going to be in Wilds. Will be my current strategy, even in Wilds, will be to keep a standard armor set and then upgrade that for as much as I can for as long as I can, always getting new weapons until the armor can't help.
Zippy wirebug mechanic and other factors, but that feeling was largely due to my increased skill as a player after 600 hours in World and Iceborne. That's not to say I'm now some pro-level monster hunter. I'm certainly no
That guy's gonna be really fun to
I've
fight.
enough to notice.
I fought Gravios in Rise, and I think this new setting will be a much better fight, making it feel more fun. Because again, Rise is meant to quick hunts that you put down and pick up again because it was originally made for the Switch before porting onto Steam. And I technically have a Switch now, but I feel more comfortable playing it on like a sit-down situation.
Because I often see this lamentation in the community, questioning perhaps is Monster Hunter simply getting easier?
No.
I would suggest that we may just be growing into better hunters. Things are certainly becoming more streamlined and accessible, see optimal health and status recovery, and the focus mode that makes it easier to aim, but the developers' goals don't suggest
optimal health
make Monster Hunter easier. Monsters have been adjusted to account for the new focus and wound systems, and the art director and executive director of Wilds, Kaname Fujioka, said the difficulty in Wilds generally follows suit from World. Series producer Ryozo Sugimoto added, "We've been incredibly careful in Wilds to guide players to the fun of Monster Hunter without changing the core of the series."
That's gonna be a fun fight.
Feel that.
It's like a weird leech monster.
Directs players into the meat of what Monster Hunter really is, hunting large monsters that could be set-piece bosses in other games. The main missions smoothly integrate many small monster hunts and gathering as part of the story, which is a wonderful way to teach players about these necessary activities without them feeling like a roadblock.
If it's honey you're after, I know the perfect spot.
I admit I'm conflicted about all of these upgrades. I find myself always wanting to pull a back in my day and describe some
Ready Tracer
we used to have to do just to get by to be able to enjoy the game.
Yeah, wait, hold on. I didn't hear that.
Archaic, ludicrous thing we used to have to do just to get by to be able to enjoy the game. And describe I'm conflicted about all of these upgrades. I find myself always wanting to pull a back in my day and describe some archaic, ludicrous thing we used to have to do just to get by to be able to enjoy the game.
That back in my day was back in when World was introduced. There was a lot of controversy with, you go into an area, and back in my day we would have to throw tracking bombs in order to like know where it is like on the map. If you didn't get a chance to throw a tracker on it, good luck looking for the monster. Now we have our green fairy dust. Those fireflies are what's helping you guide to the monster. That is considered a quality of life. For people who feel like you don't want that tracking, people want the long and arduous process of tracking a monster. You can do that. I think on the Switch, you have the access to Monster Hunter Generations. You can play that game that came before World, but again, they implement these changes to help the grander population, but they keep the difficulties the same to help with the main main fans.
Like delivering explosive powder stones from the top of a volcano while avoiding Gravios and Io Prey, and then doing it 3 more times because the quest didn't count as cleared unless you were the one who posted it and your whole party of 4 needed to clear it to join the next quest.
Oh god.
I suppose I'm trying to say Monster Hunter has come a long way, and making it less convoluted and stripping away its non-essential bits and pieces has made it more palatable to a much larger crowd. Now it's largely just delectable meat with the occasional bone and dessert. There are no bitter vegetables to power through to be able to enjoy everyone's favorite parts, except maybe grinding for a specific material.
What do people find?
And while on one hand I'm overjoyed that so many people have grown to truly enjoy something I love, there was something about being one of the few who prided themselves on eating their vegetables with a smile on their face. Even so, the evolution of Monster Hunter has continued to impress me. The nostalgia I have for how things used to be doesn't cloud my judgment enough to make me misremember how I actually felt more often than not about needing to gather dozens of mushrooms and herbs and eggs before I could just finally hunt. This is
the wyvern egg.
Oh my god, please just let me kill a monster.
Yeah, the wyvern eggs were like one of the worst missions to do because you had to go. There'd be days to where the quest would ask for an egg. The egg will be like in 11, 10, or 3. And camp was way back here. So just the idea of you traveling so far just for an egg, for it to crack, and then you have to go all the way back again. Grab it, come all the way back. Monster Hunter Tri and Generations were a whole thing when it came to that. And then Worlds made it an option instead of like a main quest. That's very good.
Wilds delivers the thrill of hunting a monster faster than ever before. The main story immediately spits you into the thick of things, and you'll have hunted your first large monster in the first 20 minutes after customizing your character in Palico. There are no Kessedon kerfuffles to contend with. You are one of the chosen hunters to protect your fleet from the big bads, and
you're made a veteran hunter. That's the important part. So there's no bullshit of like your palico or your handler trying to make you go through the tutorial, it is an option. It acknowledges that you are a seasoned hunter. And if you're not a seasoned hunter, you still have the monsters early on are easy enough for you to learn how to use your weapon. Very good. It respects the age of the series.
So that's what you do.
You're okay now.
The action of these monster hunting quests are seamlessly woven together with narrative tasks that drive the story and exciting cutscenes that drop you right into the fray.
We'll meet up later.
Travel is often accompanied by NPCs who progress the story with dialogue, so little time is wasted. The entire experience feels full and is structured like a more traditional RPG, as you aren't posting quests from a board and loading into a map like in previous Monster Hunters. At the same time, you still have robust freedom to explore and discover things on your own without having your hand held. I'll need to play more to discover exactly how the new decoration system and ingredient farming work, but it does appear you'll still need to keep up on eating and inventory management yourself to be the best hunter you can be. I do hope there are challenges ahead that will require adequate preparation to succeed, as that's where I think Monster Hunter shines its brightest. But I do believe I may have encountered at least one of those in the Oil Well Basin.
I think these might be tracks. This may be the last ad you see. With pie apple.
Oh,
busy
that is a
websites.
scam. It is a scam. We all know that this is a scam.
We discussed the Oil Well Basin and the 4 monsters I hunted there at length in our
This
interview with the
octopus?
developers, but to
Oh, no.
summarize,
That-
Rompopolo, Ajaraken, Gravios, and the area's apex, the Black Flame New Udra,
The
inhabit the Oil Well Basin,
New
which
Udra's
is
gonna be
designed
fun to
more
fight.
vertically connected rather than the more horizontally laid out Windward Plains and Scarlet Forest. Though it's filled with lava and mucky oil silt, it's inspired by the deep sea and the inhabitants of the ocean floor. This is much more apparent during the plenty, especially at night, where deep into the Oil Well
New
Basin
Udra
takes
is
on
gonna
an
be
ethereal
really
blue hue
different to
contrasts
fight.
its muddy palette during the fallow and the bright, burning red oranges of the fire spring. The change in climate sometimes made me feel like I was in an
It can-
entirely different place.
it can
and this was
change in
even
the
more
middle of the
pronounced in
game?
Oil Well Basin. The appearance even changes quite drastically from day to night, which add even more variety to the
And that's an octopus you're fighting. Hell yeah.
2 to 2.5 times the size of the maps and world. I feel like I barely got a handle on the layout of the Oil Well Basin while hunting, and will likely need to make a concerted effort to learn its flow and remember where things are.
Yeah,
like
that's
the
gonna be
very
a
helpful
problem.
environmental traps.
I never
As
got
for
a
the
chance to
monsters I
really
faced
use
there,
that,
they were
but
a unique and impressive bunch. Rompopolo is absolutely grotesque and makes
Rompopolos.
great use of its environment.
It's like a
injecting gas
mosquito
into the
on
ground that cause
legs,
large explosions that bubble up from
which is
beneath the
really
oil silt.
interesting.
When I beat it down enough, it deflated. A hilariously sad sight I was delighted to experience.
Oh my god, that's
I can
much
see Ajaraken giving
better.
some players a bit of trouble. It's an ape-like fang beast that's aggressive, fast, and strong. It also just looks cool. How its body glows when it gets ramped up is magnificent, as is one of its strongest attacks, which looks kinda like a fiery Sonic the Hedgehog homing attack. Though Gravios,
It reminds me a whole lot of like Rajang. And Rajang and Furious Rajang is a mess. However, I do see a territory fight between Rajang and the monkey Jarakan. It's gonna be very fun.
kinda like a fiery Sonic the Hedgehog homing attack. Though Gravios, a returning monster, has been a pain in the
Returning
ass in my
monster!
previous games with its hardy HP pool and super tough defenses, I found fighting it in wilds much more enjoyable. Its hitboxes are more finely tuned, and the developers were able to gradate the toughness of its body more specifically, so it was easier to land hits on the points I actually wanted to get at.
Oh,
They
the
also
tail
made it
cut
easier
off
season
real
with
well.
unfair hit checks, which was a welcome change. Gravios has a new attack the devs were happy to be able
Wait,
to
what?
fix, which was a welcome change. I also didn't get hit by seemingly unfair hit checks, which was a
Oh,
welcome change.
right there would have been like a hit
Gravios
check.
has a new attack the devs were happy to be able to implement too. A beam focused on the ground that turns the immediate surroundings into molten rock that persists with a fiery effect for a few seconds.
Again, it reminds you, it's basically fighting a kaiju. It's reminiscence between Godzilla firing down or Godra. And there's a 3-headed guy, I can't remember, but it's definitely a kaiju move from like Tokusatsu era. Very good.
When it comes to the Apex New Udra, wow, that thing is awesome, and it also really threatened to kick my ass. It's the only monster that carded me during my playtime with Wilds, and I had the hardest time getting a read on its movements and intentions. New Udra is an octopus-like cephalopod that uses a skeleton entirely new to the Monster Hunter series. So
Yeah.
of course, I wouldn't have any familiarity to rely on.
That's definitely so weird to introduce a new monster that is an octopus and squid. So like, it's really fun to where in the previous game you had basically an axolotl and all these dinosaur types, and I think the only new monster I've never fought against was the Palamu, but everything else was very form and structure. And octopus, that's a different body in general.
Its tentacles can all move independently of each other, and it hits hard. Its unpredictable, multi-directional attack patterns seem to encourage teaming up with friends, or at least NPC support hunters too. New Udra is uniquely beautiful. The sensory organs on the tips of its tentacles glow when it intends to use them in an attack, and occasionally covers itself in oil silt and engulfs itself in flames. Another cool use of the environment by an oil well basin inhabitant. One of its attacks even resembles a dangerous fireworks display.
Oh my god.
Truly, New Udra is an impressive sight to behold. A slithering, octopus-like, menacing creature engulfed in flame, hell-bent on your destruction. I'm really looking forward to how this creature is incorporated into
New
Monster Hunter
Udra
Wilds
is going
story
to be
too.
really fun.
I had no real context around the monster hunts in my time in the Oil Well Basin, as I could only really experience the hunts themselves after the quest start and before the quest complete screen. So all I can really tell you is that the monsters I fought in this build were
That'll be
high-ranked,
so
as well
fun
as
to
my
watch.
opponent. The build I played in graphics mode on the PS5 also performed significantly better than the open beta test. The monsters and environments acted as they were meant to, for the most part, and I didn't experience any jarring
Oh my
graphical issues or
God.
bugs. This
Watching
comes
that
with
fight
caveats that
take
I was
care of itself is
offline
gonna be
playing in
really
single
fun.
player, and that I, personally, probably wouldn't notice if there was a small graphical stutter while fighting for my life. But if you're in it for the gameplay, I can confidently say that Monster Hunter Wilds works well and looks good, in my opinion. I'm especially impressed by the fire and lava effects I saw in the Oil Well Basin.
Wow, what a view!
One of my biggest curiosities is how Wild's story progression will
Right now!
as it's one of the best parts about Monster Hunter and something I haven't been able to experience in Wilds outside of the open beta test. But I'm told you'll be able to play through the story with friends without the roadblocks encountered in World, which is the most important factor to me. The impressive variety of monsters in Monster Hunter Wilds, both in appearance and behavior, and the environments I've seen have so much attention to detail that it's clear how much care the developers put into the series. This is especially so after speaking with them about it. Truthfully, I could yap about Monster Hunter for days, but I'll leave it at this. I can't wait to sink another 300 hours into a new Monster Hunter.
How about 400?
Thanks for watching our preview on Monster Hunter Wilds. Make sure to look out for the full final review closer to launch. For more
Final
on Monster
review?
Hunter Wilds now, don't miss our interview with the developers on the Oil Well Basins and its apex, New Udra, or our inside look at how the devs select monsters. And for everything else in the world of gaming, stick with IGN.
I will say that is a banger video. I enjoyed every part of it because I am still severely hyped for Monster Wilds. And next week is going to be the first of 2 weekends where Wild is going to be available for the public. So yeah, very hyped, very excited for what that has in store. I will be playing a lot of Monster Hunter Wilds this year, so look forward to that. And that's the video. Thank you.